You wonderful, wonderful filmmaker, you. This is one of the most fascinating films I have seen in a while.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It is a psychological thriller, but also this incredible character study in a symbiotic duality of individuals with contrasts and comparisons, and how needs and wants are in conflict with each other. Spellbound watching this.
Thank you.
The big thing that stands out for me is how cinematic this film is, yet how truthful and authentic it is without feeling like a documentary. So often when people are taking a true story and true lives and they want to be authentic and they want everything to be just so, it feels more like a documentary. This is so cinematic, and you really capture the creativity and imagination within June and Jennifer, and you translate that to the screen. So I have to ask you, how challenging was it to come up with this kind of visual grammar and visual design to really bring these girls, their minds to life?
You know, everything was, because always when I start to working on the movie and when I started to work on the visual side and also on the tone of the movie, I always start from the characters. And June and Jennifer as the characters, as the writers, and their sensitivity and their imagination was the starting point and was the most important thing in terms of, and them as a human beings, as artists, as writers, they impose everything. Because I started to, after reading the script, I read the book, and I read their writings, and I found their writings, poems, diaries, very full of sense of humor, huge imagination, this, and disturbing at the same time, very original, unique. And I found there were amazing two girls who grew up in this, very down, depressing Wales. And I wanted to show this juxtaposition between them and between their imagination and between their inner world and between the outside world. And this was in Andrea's script. And the way how she combined this juxtaposition, their visions versus the outside world, intrigued me very, very much. And I love this because I knew that the girls were like this. They were very, I loved also how Andrea, combined the brutality versus the victimhood, their full imagination versus boredom they have with the outside world. So it was something what intrigued me, inspired me, and I felt obsessed. And I liked very much this process when you have to, find the way how to tell in terms of the visual side.
Well, this is where your work with your cinematographer, with Kuba, is just absolutely stunning. The way that, number one, you do keep everything in the grays. We have no sun. Any life and really vibrancy, you save that for the animated sequences of their creativity coming to life. And then we get vibrant yellows or greens or red of blood, life force. It's so incredible. And you use extreme close-ups on very key moments and elements. And then the one time you go into an overhead shot is when the girls are with Preston and his friend. And
Yes.
that is a real break and shift in the girls, because it's so true. It's always a boy that's going to come between women. And with that dynamic, that's where we start to see individuality really come into play, and the color and the way you tweak the imagery with the blossoming flowers, the drug-induced haze. It is so metaphoric and so powerful. It just blows me away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That could
I really appreciate.
that could not have been easy for you and Kuba to design that.
Yes, but we loved it. I mean, it was. We love this moment when you can start to create, and when you can, bring their creativity to life. That's what you said, and just to start to imagine, because on the spiritual level and on the creativity level, you could meet with the characters because they were writers, because they were artists, and I started to think about collaborators who could meet with girls, with June and Jennifer, on a sensitivity level. And that's why I started to work with Cuba, and we went to Wales, and we made a research, and of course we studied the Barbados, and we were like starting to think about them. How could they see the light? What they could like in the light? What kind of the colors they could like. Also, what kind of the movies they could watch, books read, and also the TV programs, the music, and everything of this we are researching, we are reading, and we are watching, and then we started to invent. And this part of the work I loved the most, because this is like the brainstorm which you have, and also what I loved that I could bring the collaborators, the artists together, and we could work and think about, and we could meet with June and Jennifer on this level.
Well, it's obvious how much you loved that aspect of this process, because it shows in every frame on screen. And then you very keenly, I have to tell you, this soundscape is
Yes.
absolutely stunning. You're working with so many elements here on an aural level, a sonic level, so that we get the period perfect lighting that has its own kind of sounds, the shoes, things moving on the floor, the specific sound of that portable typewriter when you hit the single keys, and then the whispering, the layers of the whispering, and as opposed to the chatter, the nonstop chatter when they're little girls. And then you bring in the music on top of that, not only the individual lyric songs, but Marcin Mousek's his beautiful score. All of that is so haunting. How difficult was working with your sound team to come up with this soundscape? Because it's a layer of storytelling on its own in this film.
Yes, I always work with the sound designer before the movie. We are working together when we are working on the script. And the sound, I started to work like this during my first movie, The Lure, which was musical. And I discovering the sound as one of the layers to tell the story. And I think the sound is very important. And also what I realized now, I was in London in a Shakespeare theater, and you know that for Shakespeare the sound was very important. The sound and the effects, the special effects in terms of the sound was the moment when you can highlight the emotion and you can sell the characters and you can sell much more. So we are working together with Martin Lenarczyk before months before the movie started. We are working on the script together. Then I asked Basia Rupik, the director from stop motion animation, to work with us. So there were three of us were sitting together, and we wrote together the script for the sound. And then it was, with Basha, it was after the shooting, but with Martin, we were working together. And then when the movie was editing, not after editing, but during editing process, I was adding some moment of the sound and also the music, because I think, and I'm sure that the sound changed the character of the scene very often. The same is with the music. So I treat the soundscape as a score, as also like a piece of the song. And the sound is very important to me, the way what they could hear. And for example, I don't know if you realize, but there is also the pounding of the heart, because the Bobby is the story of the Bobby.
Yes.
The pugilist is the stop motion animation. And we are trying to put the rhythm of the heart in the whole movie for the viewers. Of course, it's very underneath, but it's still there. And also the sound was very important in terms of the transformation from the realistic scenes into the visionary scenes, and also from visionary scenes into realistic scenes. The sound was very important when the song started. So the sound is the way of the narration of the movie, and I think and Kuba and Martin, they work they also understand each other very much. So I like very much this process when you can add something. And of course, this whispering, it wasn't in a script. We added during the sound work. We thought how we can how we can highlight their bones, and how we can highlight, their communication, and that's why we decided to add this whispering.
I love the whispering, because, and in many scenes it's very, very low. I found myself leaning in closer to the speakers because they're talking so hushed that they don't want you to hear all the words. It's like they want to entice you in. And that's exactly what you've done with the sound mix and the modulation in there. It's just so outstanding. So outstanding. Well, now, I'm curious, how was the editing process with this one? Because you're editing your visuals and your sound, and that's altering character in some instances, but you also have to have that pacing. And your pacing, it's paced like a Hitchcock movie. It's paced like a thriller. I have to tell you. It's like, what are they going to do next? Oh my God, what are they going to do? Uh-oh. We see jealousy rearing its head at every step. And you just build and build and build to that climactic moment in Act 3, and you go, oh my God. How
I love the editing process, because for me it's very, you can improve the movie, and you can, that's what you said, the pace is very important, and the rhythm of the movie is very important. And during the editing process, I was eliminating scenes which were repetitive in terms of the emotions and in terms of the information. And I very often screen the movie to my friends or to people who I trust to, and then I also study how the audience reacts to the movie, how the audience reacts to some scenes, and what is the most important for me to get the moment when you find the pace of the movie, when you find the pace of the characters, and when you find the rhythm of the storytelling of the movie. It's not. I'm not this kind of director who edits movie very fast. I very often searching for the best rhythm and the best pace in terms of the characters and in terms of the story.
Just outstanding. I'm curious, with your casting, number one, Letitia Wright is flawless. She is, the emotion that she puts forth on her face with her eyes, and how she can look down and look heartbroken or crestfallen or anger. And you see the difference in what she brings and what Tamara brings as June and Jenny, and where the strengths and the weaknesses are, and the more manipulative nature that Jenny has over June. But then you've got to also, in addition to matching up them, you had to get these incredible younger actors to play them. And those two Leia and Eva, they are amazing.
Yes, yes, I agree. First there was Leticia, and to Leticia we are trying to find her partner, her sister, and it was Tamara. Of course, we are going through many auditions and castings. It was very important to me and to Leticia to find a girl who could have chemistry with her, and when you could believe that they are sisters. And I didn't look for a queen. I rather look for somebody who could be so strong, so powerful as Leticia is, and who could have depth. And Leticia has all of these dimensions. And then Leticia saw Leah in a theater, and she told me, I saw amazing girl in a theater. And during this time, Leah was 6 years old, and we contacted Leah. Leah came to the casting, and I was totally, blown away by Leah. And then we are trying to find the partner for her. But Leah was very small, and every girl was much bigger. And 2 weeks before the shooting, we found Eva. So it was really very stressful for us. But I didn't want to agree for the girl who wouldn't have chemistry with Leah as Eva has.
I have to say, Leah and Eva, to start the film off with them and their radio routine that they do and their singing, it's just so fantastic. And that really helps set a tone for, as we then see them in their later teens and then into young adulthood. And it's just a fascinating character study. You really take us on this internal journey with these two girls, and you keep us in their point of view, in their POV.
It was very important, yes.
You never falter. One last question for you. You are so passionate about the directorial process, the cinematography, the sound, the editing. What is the gift that directing gives to you when you get to direct a film like The Silent Twins and bring it to life?
What is the gift?
Yeah, what's the gift that directing and storytelling gives to you? Especially when you make a film this great.
It's a very hard question. I don't know what to answer. What is the gift? I just, me as a director, I just love this. It's very challenging, but also it's some that in this particular movie, it was that you can bring the story to the audience, and you can bring June and Jennifer as amazing girls, as a writers, and it was very challenging, but at the same time very inspiring to adapt their writings. So it's something what I just love to do. So I don't know if it's a good answer for your question.
I think it's a wonderful answer. And just very quickly, did you at any time speak with June, since I know she's still alive?
Yeah, June gave the blessing for the movie.
Oh.
And she leaves her, yes, and she's very happy that the movie is released now. She lives her private life, and she doesn't, and we just respect this.
She should be thrilled with how this film looks and how it feels when you watch it. An incredible job. I can't wait to see what you bring us next.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I hope we get to chat again in the future.
Yes, I hope. Yes. I will
Oh,
be very happy to.
oh, thank you so, so much. And you have a wonderful rest of
Thank
your
you.
day or night.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.